Hello, welcome to Board Games with Niramas. I'm Joseph. Drako is here, and we also have Marcus here from Sweden.
Yes. Hello.
So I was going to introduce you somehow, but I think it's probably better if you do it yourself. So who are you, and why are you here?
Well, my name is Marcus, as you said, Marcus Brissman. My main sort of board game cred probably is I write for a magazine called Phoenix. It's a Swedish board game tabletop gaming magazine. They have role-playing games as well, and I'm the board game editor of that magazine. I write most of their board game reviews. And I also have a podcast, which is more of a hobby project that's called Vems Turede. It's in Swedish, so most of your viewers probably won't understand.
It's one of my favorite podcasts. It's one of those that, like, when you release a new episode, I listen to it the same day.
That's fun. Thank you.
And of course, I mean, it's like it's these days. It's almost like it's I have my Swedish podcast with my friends, and it's like. So it's interesting because it's almost going a little bit back and forth. So sometimes you talk about a topic and then we talk about it a little bit later, or the other way around. So
we mention each other all the time.
Basically.
Exactly. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about Ark Nova, which is a super hot new game, and it's a bit weird because a lot of people out there, a lot of Americans and so on, haven't gotten the game yet or can't get the game yet. It's a 2021 game, and I think it was released at Essen Spiel, right? Last year.
I think so. I wasn't there actually, but I think it was released on that
small print run or something like that. Yeah,
maybe yeah.
So and at that time I didn't have it when I did my top games I look forward to at Essen Spiel, even if I didn't go there. This was not on that list. I remember reading about it a little bit and being like, I don't know.
Yes, same here. I mostly. When I check that list, the preview list, the first thing I check is the theme, and this didn't do anything for me basically. So I'm and then I checked a bit about the mechanics, and it didn't catch me. So I skipped that actually from the preview list.
No, but it's the same here. Like this whole Sue thing. Like I know some people really like it, but for me it's like. Well, I guess it depends on how it's done. I think this one is done we'll just start there. I think the theme is well made in the sense that it's like preservation and conservation of animal species. It's not the kind of. It feels like a Swedish zoo in a sense. Like we have a zoo pretty close to where I live here. Which is the Nordic Ark, I think it's called in English. That's like, it's all about taking care of Nordic animals. Like, even when you go there as a visitor, you might not even see a wolf because they have such a big pen. Because that's what the wolves need. It's not about what do you want, like just making the visitors see them. So
but I think that place, it's more about the conservation, and they get some of their income to fund the place from the visitors. That's the secondary thing, basically. I think so, and I think maybe if you want to do a game about zoos these days, you probably have to do it this way. To keep it sort of politically correct.
And keep it. I mean, I haven't visited that many zoos. But I was like 20 years ago, I was in Prague, and just my memories from that was like monkeys in small cages, and it was like terrible. Just a bad memories from that place. So of course that is an issue that I think should be taken seriously. And now my camera is acting up for some reason, but I don't know. I hope it worked. Yeah, I think so. So anyway, the game is published by Fräulein Spiel and Capstone Games is what it says on the box, and there's some more here as well. I think this is one of those games, because if you check out Fräulein Spiel here, they have like Gloomhaven on here, and I think, and so on.
I think they're probably the German distributors.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. So, but I think like Gaia Project Terra Mystica is their own game, and Ark Nova is the same, right?
Yeah, and I think they also have a lot of Uwe Rosenberg games. They used to have at least. I think Fist for Odin was Fräulein from the start.
From the start.
I think so. I'm guessing a bit, but and like Fields of Arle that you have down there as well. I think those were Foiland from the beginning.
I mean, Dinosaur Island is Pandasaurus, right? But it's like I guess they are.
Yeah, so I think they're the German distributor. Yeah.
So this page is a little bit confusing in that sense.
Yeah.
It looks like they have published like all the greatest games.
Exactly, yeah, and they have all the Stonemaier games as well.
Oh yeah.
So, but Crystal Palace was one of their games a couple of years ago, and that's a really good game. I really like that game. Yeah,
I haven't played that one, but I know Mats, my friend, really likes.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, you should try it. I think you may like it. It's pretty. It's really interesting worker placement.
It might be too heavy for me, but then again, Ark Nova is pretty heavy as well.
Yeah, and I mean, Crystal Palace should be too heavy for me, from a usual taste. But I really like it. So. Yeah.
And then it says Capstone Games on the box as well. I guess that's the American distributor.
Yeah, I think that's the other way around. Yeah. They're the American distributor of the Foiland games.
Exactly. Yeah. Because they have like Boom Lake and.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of. Okay, I didn't sort this by rank. There we go. Orleans, Maracaibo. Yeah, they have a lot of stuff here, of course.
Yeah. So they're probably just the distributor, basically.
Yeah. So, and the designer, Matthias Vigge, and I think he's a first-time designer, at least.
It seems so. It's his first published game, at least.
Yeah, he probably, like most designers, have all these prototypes in the closet.
But that's quite an achievement.
It is.
To have a game that's this popular and frankly this good for your first design. That's impressive.
It is. It reminds me a little bit of. Oh, I forgot the name, but the guy who made Clans of Caledonia was the same thing. I think that he was first time designer. But they have both done something which is I think is really smart to take elements from well-known loud games and mix them together in a new way.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say Ark Nova is that innovative. Like,
no, I mean that's game design these days. I mean the amount of times that a new game mechanic comes out that those are far between. So I mean that's what you do. You take you cherry pick the best parts of other games and you tweak it and make it your own basically. So that's to be expected and nothing wrong with that at all.
No. I mean. So it's interesting here with what does it say? So open open drafting is the market, right?
Yeah, it should be, probably.
Income, hexagon grid, hand management. These categories are so weird sometimes. It's a category end game bonuses is a mechanism. I don't know. Tile placement, absolutely. Variable player powers, a little bit maybe.
Yeah, from the different maps,
Pretty small part though, I would say, of the game.
Yeah.
Variable setup.
I actually haven't played. Now, if we speak of it, they with different players having different maps. I only played the solitaire ones. The times I played the game 30 times or something, and most of those are solo. But I played the few times I played it. With the multiplayer, it's we all have the same map. So I haven't tried. So I don't know how much different it makes multiplayer to have different maps.
I mean, I played it on 2 a few times, and then it was like a little bit interesting. Like, well, I could sell cards.
Yeah.
Like and so on. Mm-hmm. And I mean, let's talk about that because that's an interesting part of the game is the different maps. Let's just start with the elephant. No pun intended, in the room. So we have to name Terraforming Mars, obviously, because a lot of people have compared this to Terraforming Mars. And so, I mean, we both have played Terraforming Mars. And so when I set this up the first time I was going to play it, I saw the resemblance there, of course. And one of those things were like, oh, there's different maps. So it's like corporations, right? It's like different factions or whatever, or guilds or whatever it is in games.
Yeah.
I would say though that these maps, I think they feel a little bit like the impact of them. The differences aren't that big as
I agree. Yeah,
there's some tweaks. Like one of them, you might be you get 2 conservation points for getting all your assistants out. So that might be something you do instead of getting all the universities because you don't get any point from that.
Right, yeah.
Well, if you play on the starting map, then you get like 1 each or 2 each. It's like
Yeah, that's one of the main things. There's the special effect thing, and that's something that usually guides your play basically. But I think when there's not the points for the assistants or the points for the universities, you kind of miss that, because that's usually part of your strategy. That okay, so if I do this, I can unlock that, and that will give me the final conservation point I need to finish this or whatever it is. And then when it's not there, it's like, what? Where is it?
So like here we have the observation tower in German. I think that is.
Yep.
Aussichtplattform.
Yeah.
So here you see, if you go here with this one, you want to get 4 of these. I still don't know what this is called. Friendship tiles or alliances? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a I can't remember the official name, but it's a you have a
thematically you're cooperating with another.
Yeah, you're cooperating with another zoo. Yeah,
I just don't remember what the actual tile is called.
Me neither. No, me neither. Yeah.
So here you want to get all 4, because then you get 2 conservation points. But you don't really care that much about getting all 3 assistants if you're not going to use them.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And then the other big part, of course, of these maps are the left-hand side, where you have different income and different bonuses you can get from sponsoring conservation projects. Now, we're not going to explain how the game works in this stream, obviously, because I already have videos on the channel for that. But so this changes up quite a bit. Like, I think all of them have the snap a card, put 2.
I think the top 3, I think all of them have, and sometimes that's all of them, and the rest are just
there you go. This one has only those. But this one, on the other hand, has these yellow parts, which is just one-time benefit. Like here, you can get a university, which is really strong. And of course, the placement bonuses on the actual map is different. And then of course, a special ability like this one, I think is my favorite, because here you can sell cards once you build next to this Handelsschaffen or whatever.
It's a port harbor, of some sort.
A trading harbor or something like that. Then you can start selling cards on your turn, I think this is the best ability on all of these maps.
Oh yeah, I like the one where you get enclosures that are put around a certain spot gets bigger.
That's great as well.
Yeah, I really like that one, but that's really useful at the certain points, and then it's no point at all after that.
And the one when you can sell cards, it's great, but then you need to have more cards that you don't want. And this one is pretty good as well, I think, with the Silver Lake, where you get money from just placing here. Because in the beginning, when you're kind of tight on money, then you can get free placements here. So you get 2 per placement. And this one has a cool thing as well with when you get an extra turn, which is great in solo, especially because.
Oh, really?
We're gonna get into solo later, but the solo thing is it's tough. It's really tight.
It is. Yeah, it's really tight. Yeah.
And I think it's interesting because, like, when you start playing the game, obviously you start on the A map, which I don't think I can just pull this up here.
That's the one I played multiplayer. That's the only map I played multiplayer. Yeah.
So here I play with Drako. We play on the A map, where you even start with a little building, right?
Yeah, that's not the A map.
That's not the A map. I just realized. No, this is the wrong video. Okay, let me get the right video, because that was the wrong one. Here we go. And there's a little Drako meeple. Here's the A map. So you even start with a kiosk and a 3-sized enclosure, and you have super strong. I think you get like 2 points on the conservation for each of these 3 different things you can unlock. You also have on this map and on the 0 map, which I don't understand why they didn't just name them A and B. A and 0, but so 0 is like the second one to play, and that on that one and this one you have one of these incomes being a conservation point, which is super strong, especially if you can get it out early. So when you're playing this on those maps, then people that's where you should start, I think. Of course.
Yeah, that's a good starting point, because it's easier to get started. You have some free stuff that you can just kickstart your game, basically. Yeah,
and you can learn the game. You can get into how it works. It's not that complex, I would say, but it's pretty heavy in like decision making during the game, especially in solo, again, because you have this limited amount of time and all that. But then you move on. Like what I did was I then moved on to the named maps that have special abilities and limitations and so on.
Yeah.
But then there's another layer to the whole game where you can start in solo. I started on 20 appeal, which means I start with an income as well. But you can go down to 10 or even 0 if you want to make it harder. I have no idea how people can make it on 0, but yeah.
I've played with 0 once, I think, but that was way too hard because you have, as you say, you have no income.
You have no money in the beginning. Yeah.
No money at all, basically. Yeah.
And so I think I would recommend you to go that way. Like start with. I've seen some people on Facebook and other places in forums where people go like they start playing on. Like they start on the A map and then they go down to 10 and then they go down to 0. Then they start with the named maps. For me, it was like obvious to
okay.
Because again, Terraforming Mars, I was thinking, now I'm playing a beginner corporation, but then I want to play the actual corporations, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So and I did my 9 solo playthroughs now. Just ended yesterday. So I covered all the maps plus the map 0, and then we did map A in this video with Drako here. Which is one of the hardest, again, videos I ever made because I had to handle...
Yeah, you're playing two-hand, right?
I helped Drako out. It's hard for him to handle the components. And this was like one of the first times I played the game as well.
Oh, yeah.
So there's some mistakes in this video for sure. But,
but I was thinking about that because, as you said, it's not really that much... There's not much rules to learn.
No.
It's a pretty easy teach. Yeah. I've taught this game like 5 or 6 times, I think.
Yeah.
And it's not that much of a teach because the complexity comes from all the cards and all the what does this action actually do in this situation, basically. Yeah. So it's not that hard to teach so these are the 5 actions. When you learn that, the rest comes on its own, but then you have just watch the cogs fit together, basically. And that's pretty much that's a heavy, basically. So I bet keeping two play sets in mind at the same time that gets hard.
I mean, I do that a lot in my videos, but then this was a bit heavy. But anyway, so I thought the iconography was a little bit tricky at first. I think I remember the first time I played, which was off cam, like this. Then I thought when the placement bonus, when you get like to take a card, what the icon means is take a card either randomly from the top of the deck or from within reputation range. I thought it meant take a card and get a reputation, which made it a lot easier. So there's a few small things like that could be a bit confusing.
Yeah, and the under the card in your hand right now, the placement requirement for to have the build action on number 2, that's in the corner of the map there. That the first time we played multiplayer, that could easily be mistaken for you actually getting the upgrade when you place there.
Oh yeah.
So that
would make it a lot easier.
oh really? Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I think the A map is sort of silly because it's just those 2 hexes in the corner.
That's true. Yeah, there's only those 2.
So it's almost like why aren't they available? It's just to be able to use that requirement, basically.
I think it's just to teach you. And it's like, if you want to cover the whole map, which you actually can do on the A map, I feel. I've done that a few times.
I've done it on the A map, but not on any other. No.
So, and then if we're going to move over to the whole solo thing, like the solo has, and I'm going to switch video then so I can show you the cubes, of course. So the solo has these little cubes. You just use a non-playable, not a player cube that you're not playing, which I thought was the black one was good for that.
Yep.
And so you have, what is it? Is it 9? 3, 6? No, it's 7.
7, yeah.
So you have 7 actions, and then it's a break where you do a little bit of upkeep, get your income and so on. Mm-hmm. And then you move one of the cubes. So next time you have 6 actions, and then it gets fewer and fewer. And that is so stressful to me. I still think it's very tight. And again, comparing to Terraforming Mars, with Terraforming Mars, you have limited, like you have 14 or you have 12 generations. But what
you can do,
you can do whatever you want within those generations.
Exactly, Mm-hmm.
So for me, especially coming from playing a lot of Terraforming Mars solo, this was like, wow, it's so hard because like every action counts.
It is very stressful, and I think comparing the multiplayer game and the solo game, the solo game is an efficiency puzzle.
Yeah,
it's all about you can't waste any actions. If you waste an action, you probably won't make it. But while the multiplayer version is more free, and you can sort of think that I can probably do this now and wait a bit to do the other action, so I get a stronger bonus from that or whatever it is, because the other players aren't going to like push the end of the game as fast as the solo game is.
No, especially in the like first half of the game multiplayer, you feel really relaxed. Like you feel like you can do a lot of things, and I prefer this game multiplayer actually. In that sense.
me too. Yeah.
Because I'm not a big fan of this, like, and that's where the AP or the hard decisions comes in. When I sit there solo, I feel like if I mess up like here at the beginning, then that's gonna
I'm screwed.
And I don't really like that. I like when you have, and I also like to do long-term plans in games. Mm-hmm. I like to set things up, see like, oh, this card will be good later on. Again, Terraforming Mars, like, I know I can do this later. I can't really do that in this game. It's like, oh, is this going to work? Because you also have the very limited hand size.
Yeah.
So unless you get that certain university tile, you can only have 3 cards at every break. Mm-hmm. And the break will come. Like you see, you have a certain amount of actions, and then it's a break time.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't save up on cards and plan for the long run. So it's interesting because I think I like the game more in December when I started playing it than I do after playing like 30 times solo.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's gone down for me in that sense because of that. And I also talked about it in my solo playthroughs. I even considered like making a house rule where I take 1 more cube, so I get 8 actions extra. Like I get 8 extra first, and then I remove a cube, and then I get 7 and so on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I think I would enjoy the game more that way. And then some would say, well, then maybe it's too easy. But on the other hand, then I could go down to like starting on 0 instead.
For sure. Yeah.
But it would let me do more long-term stuff.
Yeah. I think I prefer it multiplayer as well. I think it's really interesting solo. It's a very good solo game for me. But it is a bit stressful, and it's a very different feel.
Yeah,
the multiplayer game. And since I played it, like as I said, 30 times, and I think of those maybe 6 or 7 are multiplayer. And I really look forward to playing it more multiplayer.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
because I think that's where it shines. And I think actually, because people say, "Oh, I would never play this more than 2 people," but I played it with 4 once, and the other times with 2, and the 4-player game didn't take that much longer. I think it maybe half an hour longer than a 2-player game, and that was me having played it before, and 3 new players.
Oh wow!
3 beginning players, and it. We sort of have limited time, so I was okay. Your turn. So I was just dressing it up a bit, but I mean the turns are really short. So if you can figure out your turn during my turn, I don't really have that much downtime, even with 4 players.
The interaction is fairly low, or it's really low most of the game. So it's not like, I mean, there's some games where it's not even, in some games it's not even any use for me when it's your turn for me to think about what I'm going to do on my turn, because things might change so much before it gets around to me. But in Ark Nova, most of the time you know what you can do on your turn.
Yeah.
So you can have that planned out, and then it's my turn. Boom! I do these things, and then it's your,
Yeah, the actions, the turns just go really fast. When we played with 4, there were a little bit more of those interactions, if you want to call it that, where you take something I was take, like in university, for example. I really needed to get the 2 science university to play this card, and then someone else took it, and then it was like, now I have to figure out my whole planning for the next break, until the next break. So that gave me some AP, but other than that, it's really clips on fast, the turns.
I found one fun thing when I played against Mats on 2, that when I, like, the first action I did was to take the university tile that gave me 5 hand size, so I knew he couldn't get it. And then I was like waiting for the good time when he was having too many cards in hand, and then I made a break happen. So he had to discard out. I mean, there's a few of those little interactions.
And because in the solo game, the breaks come at certain intervals. You know when the break is coming, but you don't know that multiplayer. So and since the cards action is one of the things that pushes the break marker down.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, okay, I want to break now because I need the income, but I can't really do the break, take the cards things. I need to take cards.
Yeah.
But I can't do that because then I have to discard cards because I can only have 3, and that's a fun balance, I think, when playing that way. Yeah.
And I also think for the multiplayer, I find it interesting at the end game where it's like, if I end the game, then everyone else gets another turn.
Yeah.
So you gotta, like, if we're very close in score, I don't want to end it because then you get a turn to be able to surpass me.
Oh yeah.
So like when I end it, I need to end it, well. I need to get a lot of points that turn. That's an interesting bit of interaction as well. Then of course we have the whole thing, which I find in solo, like the card that you see on the screen here, which is like one of those like bird breeding program. So you need to be in an alliance with that continent and have a bird from that continent, right? And so there in solo, it's like, oh, I'll play it and then I get the best thing because it's only me here. Yeah. But in multiplayer, it gets more interesting because then it's like the first player, well, the person that plays it gets those 2 conservation points, 2 reputation. Then it's a race for the other ones to claim the second spot. And same goes for the base conservation points projects that you have out. The first one to go there, or the first one to get there with 5, whatever it is, gets that spot. So that's a bit of interesting. It's almost like milestones in Terraforming Mars in a way.
Yeah, I think the ones the conservation projects where you release an animal, that made me. I won the game, but we didn't win it by as much as I could have. No, actually, I'm thinking of another game where I played 2 players, where I actually lost because I did that. Because I released a small animal.
Oh, yeah.
While I even knew he had a bigger animal that he could release, but I was thought, I think I needed those points to get one of the bonuses or something. Yeah. So I did. I was like, should I really play this? And I did it, and then lost me the game because he won by those points of difference. So that's really interesting. Yeah,
there's a lot of good stuff going on, and the game is based. I mean, the card mechanism there where you select your action and they move around in strength. It's like from Civilization: A New Dawn, which is a game I don't know. Have you played it?
I haven't played it, no.
I thought it was pretty good because I like Civilization. I know you don't really like Civilization games.
No, that's not really my kind of game. No.
It was a bit too abstract. It was like, oh, it's a Civilization game in 90 minutes, which is like it's not a good idea because you don't get the whole experience. It's like there's no troops. It's like influence and stuff. But But the best thing with that game was that card mechanism, and he picked this up, and then also the whole thing with the 2 points that are meeting. It's like from Rajas or the Ganges, which I really like. Really good placement game.
And it's like we said at the beginning that he's taken a lot of really good mechanisms from other games and done his own thing with it. And that's game design now these days. Yeah. So he's done a very good job with this.
And I've been a bit like criticizing, like Tom Basso was out like, oh, this replaces Terraforming Mars. I was like, are you crazy? Like, it's not the same game. You can still have them both in your shelf. It's 2 different games. Yeah. But I can see, like, I think it's basically if he had a pot here, he's putting in Terraforming Mars, he's putting in Rajas of the Ganges and Civilization: New Dawn, and he's stirring around and get something new out of it.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, you have a lot of things from that are similar to Terraforming Mars, but because of the limited hand size, the feel for me is almost more like Underwater Cities, where you're but there you're cycling cards more in a way as well because you're drawing cards automatically. But still, the limited hand size thing, or even some things feel a little bit like Wingspan to me as well, especially in the solo game where you have these like actions that you get fewer and fewer actions sort of.
Sure. Well,
I think he's been inspired from a lot of different.
I think so,
places.
and I mean, I can see there are a lot of similarities with Terraforming Mars, and I was thinking about it before we started recording now because I can name like this and this and this and this that are really similar, but all those things are in other games as well.
Yeah,
it's just that maybe because those things are in both this game and in Terraforming Mars, that's where the comparison comes.
And it's because Terraforming Mars is a very well-known, loved game. Otherwise,
of course. So But I actually think, because we talked about this earlier in the week, and for me, the similarity is in the feel of my decision space, basically. The counts of decisions I have to make, because okay, I have these cards in my hand, I want to do this, how do I get there? And how I should play this card before, because then I can get this bonus, but then I should actually build this enclosure first, so I can get that bonus, which pushes me up on this track and stuff like that. And that feel is sort of the same feel I get from Terraforming Mars. So it's more that than actually the game mechanics in themselves. It's more the feel of the decisions I make during the game. That's where I feel the most similarities.
And I think for me, it's, again, I think I think this is a really good game, but it's not getting up there to the same level for me as Terraforming Mars. And I think that that has to do with the action selection. As much as I like the whole card selection, it still feels like I'm doing Race for the Galaxy or whatever. Like I'm doing phases. Like this phase I can build, or this phase I can play animals.
Right. Yeah.
I never been a big fan of that, like Puerto Rico, or I like it in a way. But I think what I really like about Terraforming Mars and a lot of other games that are similar to that is like this whole, like, oh, I can do whatever I want on my turn.
Yeah.
Because the Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition introduced that whole thing with like, oh, well, I can't do this action because I'm not in that phase. Right. I didn't activate that phase. And I didn't really like that. I prefer the whole freedom of especially in solo, where I just keep doing actions after actions, and I don't need to wait for anyone.
Yeah, exactly. No, I can see that, because the one thing that that sometimes bothers me with the Ark Nova is that I really need to do this action, but I can't because it's at the number one spot.
Exactly.
And I have, and it's sort of the last turn of the solo game where you have 3 actions, and you really have to make those 3 actions count. It's something like I really want to do the association action now twice. Because I want to do 2 conservation projects, or I want to do one thing and then a conservation project, whatever it is. And if I haven't upgraded it, I can still 1 and stuff like that. And I need the associates and stuff like that as well. But that really bothers me sometimes, is that I can't do the same action sort of twice in 3 actions, because it's too low on the I can do it once probably, and then it's too low. So I can get what you mean.
That touches on to another thing I want to bring up, is the replay value. Because I played Terraforming Mars solo at least 150, 200 times, plus all the digital stuff, which is insane, of course. But
it is, yeah.
I mean, and most games, I wouldn't say that that's a requirement. Oh, if I can't play it 100 times solo, then I don't want that. That's not a thing. And I played this one like almost close to 30 times, and I still enjoy it in some sense. So I wouldn't say it's a bad replay value in any way, but I'm starting to feel like I'm doing the same things. Like you say in the last part there, I have to do association, because by then I built up, so I have a bunch of symbol or icons, so I can claim those conservation projects. I'm at the beginning, I'm trying to get one on like 2 of something, because then I can get 2 steps and upgrade a car or get another assistant. I feel like I'm doing sort of the same things over and over, so it doesn't really have that long, like extreme replay value that some other games have.
I get that, and I think I had to check, because as I do statistics on BG stats, and I played actually Terraforming Mars and the same amount of times now. But I think I'm not done with this game solo, but I won't play it that much solo. I played it like for a while, for like a week, I played it multiple times a day solo, basically.
Yeah,
I was obsessed with it.
This is a small time span we're talking about. It came out, we just got it like 2 months ago or something.
Yeah, exactly. And when Terraforming Mars, those 30 plays, that's over a couple of years. But I may not play this as much solo the coming times, but I really want to play it multiplayer, because I think it's a really different feel in how you play. So but I get what you mean.
And I also think the going back here, I think what I like about it solo, which is again the same with Terraform Mars and somebody else. This is not just a beat your own score game. It is beat your own score, but it's sort of like if you don't make it to 0, then you failed.
Yeah.
Like I like that as a. I mean, the other game that I've been playing more than this actually during those last 2 months is Imperium Classics and Imperium Legends, which is, I think that one has like that one I can play for 100 times and it's gonna have like a replay value because there's so many combinations you can play that game.
Oh yeah,
and it's so different every time you play. But I mean, in that one, it is sort of beat your own score, but you're also trying to beat a bot. So then, like, if you beat the bot, then I don't care what my score was because I won, just like if I was playing against another player. So I think for me, solo games either has to be like beat a bot or complete some kind of objective, like a Robinson Crusoe or whatever, like something where I need to do something and then I won or I failed. This one has, just like Terraform Mars, it has both of them. Like, oh, you can complete it, but then you also want to get as high score as possible.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And I like the campaign mode, which is not really a campaign mode, but it's a different way of twisting the solo play a bit, and I like that because that's what I was sort of done with it because I played all the different maps. And then I didn't realize there was the campaign mode, but then I saw one of your videos where you talked about it, and I went, oh, there is, and I checked the rule. So I'll try that then.
Yeah, it's
so
like a little variant.
So then I played like 9 games in a row because I wanted to play like I played 3 campaigns basically. So I went through the whole deck basically. During those 3 games, and it was a fun way of doing it a bit differently.
And that's what I did in my videos, where I have 9 videos, but it's 3 campaigns basically. And I really like it because it adds another layer of strategizing. So because, as you say, you remove those cards that you used in the first game, and then in the second game you remove those cards. So by the third game, you have like half the cards or whatever left. And then and then you draw your conservation projects, and it's like, oh, birch. But I already seen like 20 birch or whatever.
Exactly.
You can look through your Discord file and be like, okay, so there's not going to be that many birch. So I know that I'm not going to focus too much on that. Or the petting zoo animals. If there's already been a bunch of petting zoo animals in the third one, I'm probably not going to get that.
I won't bother with that. No, exactly.
I like that. It's like another layer of strategy.
And it's also like because you combine the 3 scores from the games and you still have to get a 0 to so you can sort of
fail the first time.
You can sort of tank a game because this isn't going well. I'll just minimize the damage. And then I'll have to do better in the next 2 games. So it's not that bad if you lose 1 game. You can still make it work in the end.
Yeah, I really like the campaign mode. If it wasn't for that, I think it would have been harder for me to like pull off. Keep playing solo because now I can feel motivated, and especially if I have like the last 3 I did, like 7, 8, and 9. The first one I got like plus 26 or something, and I really felt like, okay, this is I have a chance now to really do this well. And then I failed a little bit in the second one, and then I did really good in the third one. So so that was like it's interesting how it's. And then I had that situation again where like, oh, a lot of research icons have passed by. So I know it's not going to be that many research icons in the end. So
I did sort of similar, not in the end, but my first game was really successful. Not 26, I think I got like 18 or something. And then I lost the other one, but by 12, I think. So then it was like a bit on the edge, and then I think I scraped. I think I got 1 point at the end. The total score was 1 + 1. So I barely made it. Yeah, but it felt good to make it.
I think I lost. I lost more than I won in this game. At least when I played with these named maps. In solo.
I think it's probably 50-50 for me or something.
Also, I feel like by number 9, by now I can play well. Like it took a while to get, because there's a lot of fine tuning things when you start realizing like just the whole action selection. So let's say I want to do association twice in the middle of the game. I may have 5 or 6 actions. I can do that round. I want to do association twice. I should really do the first one first, right? Because then it goes down to 1, and then it has time to move up again. small things like that to like plan, or if I know I need to build a 4, but build this on, like I need to plan out more. And I also started doing more of this, like you can skip an action where you just move a card down to one, you get an X token. At first I thought that was like, oh, that's like a, you know, you don't want to do that, but it's really good actually in the solo. You might want to do that once or twice during the...
Yeah, to push another action up and also get
an
the X token. Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like a double effect. And in some situations you end up with like, oh, I don't have a sponsor card. I can't build because I don't have money, whatever. Like you end up in a situation where the only thing that makes sense is to do the skip action. So because again, you have to do all the actions. It's not like the multiplayer where you can like wait for someone else to break so you get your guy back.
Exactly. Yeah. So. And there are also some things. One thing that I've realized that I'm bad at basically is to use the actions when you upgrade the actions when you can play cards from the the market. I almost never use that, and I really should, because if there's a card in the market that I really want, I have to use 2 actions, one to get it and then one to play it. And if I can play it straight from there, that saves me a whole action. And I should be better at doing that, because that'll probably up my game another step.
Yeah, I think that's a really important step, because that's something I did in the last 3 as well. I really, like, I saw there was 2 petting zoo animals next to each other, and I wanted both of them. And I just realized, like, instead of... Because again, hand size, I don't want to take them into my hand, because then it takes up slot. It's better to just let them... And I actually let them, like, slide down, because we removed 2 cards. Yeah, like, I waited until they were, like, I really needed to. And then I had my upgraded animal card. And also, like, the cards you upgrade, I realized what, like, going back in my mind, thinking about the first solo playthroughs I did, I did some stupid things like upgrading my build card, and then maybe just once during the game after that, I actually used it to build multiple things. Like, why did it would have been better to take another assistant instead then, and so on. Or for that matter, in one of my solo videos, I totally blanked out on the fact that you have to upgrade your card in order to be able to move on the reputation track. So I kept moving, and then I was like in post editing, what am I doing? And I had to put in a text there, like, oh, sorry, I'm cheating here.
That's one of the worst things when we played with 4 players. There were multiple times that someone else did an action, like, oh, well, I'll do this and I'll move up here. And I was like, you can't do that because you haven't upgraded that card yet. And I was like, oh. And that destroyed their whole plan. I felt sort of bad because, well,
it's the rules.
Follow the rules.
So if we're gonna do some kind of, I mean, we already talked about why we like the game, but some kind of review thing, like as I do here you can see on my page, I rated it a 9 on Board Game Geek. That was after, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 plays. I would say by now it's probably a 9 as a combined. Like, I would give it a solo, I would probably give it an 8.
Yeah,
but for multiplayer, I probably give it a 10 even right now, because I think it's so good. So like 9 is probably good, like overall. But I don't know. Do you rank them by numbers?
I think so. I'm going to check it out. Let's see. So I have to find it. This is good TV.
Yeah. So we have in the chat here. Meanwhile, I can answer. Beatrice is saying, after 2 solo games, I think I'm finally comfortable with the rules and flow of the game. Yeah, it takes 2-3 games before you feel.
Oh, like, for sure. Yeah.
And I know you've been watching my videos, obviously. I hope that helps. But I mean, I watched basically everything I could find on YouTube before my first game, because I had to wait like a week before I got it or whatever. And I know a lot of people have been waiting for months, so that helps.
I actually haven't rated this yet. I realize now.
Okay.
But I think I would probably rate it, because I would probably rate it a 9 solo as well. But that might go down now, because I think I'm not, as I said, I'm not finished with it. But I'll play less and less solo probably. But I think I don't really rate things 10 that much. I think
same here.
But it's a really, really good game. I would rate it really high. 9 for sure. 8 or 9.
It's always like, what does the number mean? And I try to go by the actual what Board Game Geek says, which is like, a 9 or a 10 is a game I always want to play. Like if someone would say, "Oh, do you want to play Ark Nova on Friday?" I'm never going to say no at this stage right now. In a year,
yeah, exactly, yeah. And because that's happened to me because I don't play that much lately because of the pandemic and stuff like that. And it's been a couple of times that because I review games for the magazine, it's like I should really play a review game. But we could also play Ark Nova.
So that's a good sign then.
So it's probably a 9 for me, for sure, yeah.
And I think if I hadn't discovered Imperium at the same time, basically the same week, I would probably have played Ark Nova twice as much last 2 months or something like that. But
I really like Imperium, but it's too fiddly for me.
Yeah, you said that. I was like, I don't feel that at all. Like I'm sitting there moving my stuff, and it's like no problem. It's like Marvel Champions, or now I'm playing a lot of Lord of the Rings, the card game. I feel the same way. Like there's moving a lot of tokens around.
I feel the same about those games as well. I mean, there's a lot of moving stuff around in Ark Nova as well. So I don't know what it is, but yeah.
I think after we're done recording, I can recommend some civilizations to you to play in Imperium where you don't have that many tokens. Like some of them don't really collect tokens at all.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So great game and lots to discover. And I think, I mean, it's been on the hotness list for a good while now on Board Game Geek, and I think now people are starting to actually get it from the stores.
Yeah, I saw the reprint was probably out now, or you could pre-order at least. So I think it's coming soon, and they'll give it another swing up in the.
It's the Facebook groups, right? You see when people start posting a lot that they got it, then you know it's reprinted.
Yeah. Well, do you think there'll be expansions?
Definitely, yeah. I think it would be what's it called? Like total work, like a company failure to not push for expansion. For the amount of hotness it's got and the popularity. I mean, it's already 95 ranked overall. 8.7 here. I mean, it's
that's impressive. So
I sent an email to, because I have a cooperation with Folded Space for inserts. So I sent them an email a while ago and said like, "Hey, have you noticed Ark Nova? You should make an insert for it." By the time people start getting it from the second printing,
you should have it in your store. And
they actually had one at the office. They managed to get one. They're in Europe somewhere. So they. They said it was coming. It's not like this game really needs an insert, to be honest, because it has really good plastic containers.
The plastic, that's really good.
But if they can, they can sell that. So, and exactly. I will pick it up as well, probably. Yeah.
And I basically have to thank you for even getting this game, because I think you contacted me. We were talking, and you said, "Do you think I should buy this?" I'm not sure if you actually asked me, and you said, "Well, okay, yeah, maybe." And you said you found it at a certain store.
Yeah.
And I was like, that. I think the same day or the day after, I was like, maybe I should get one as well. And I think I probably got the last one they had. So
shout out to
thank you.
Playoteket.
Playoteket
for getting a lot of them in stock. So I was because I was like, it was like delayed for me a week because Game Maniacs got like 4 copies, I think.
Yeah.
And then I saw them posting on Facebook about it, and I already seen, of course, Tom Vassell giving it a 10.
Mm-hmm.
That's early December, so I was like sending a message to Game Maniacs and saying like, "Oh, book one for me. Like, you gotta sponsor me with one of these." and they were like, "Sure, we'll do that." And then it was like basically at the same time I sent it, someone clicked and bought the last copy.
Oh right, yeah.
So for a few days there, I thought it was coming, and then it was like, "No, sorry, we actually can't send you one."
Oh, okay.
So I was so happy when I found that Playoteket had it.
Yep.
Because otherwise I would have to wait until now, or like.
Yeah, exactly. And I probably wouldn't have bought it unless we've had that discussion, because I was like pretty lukewarm on the game as a whole. But then I like you said, I've seen some other people raving about it, so I was like, maybe I should check it out. And I'm really glad I did, because it's a really good game.
It's funny because I think that was the first time in a good while that I really got that feeling about the game. Like I was like, hope that I can find it somewhere. Like I really wanted it at that moment, because it was both that Tom Vassell gave it a 10, but then they talked about it at the Dice Tower podcast as well.
Oh yeah.
And when I listened to that podcast, I was like, I have to check this one out, because like, if nothing else, I was like, I have to check it out for just, the channel and everything. Like, if it's going to be this hot, I have to cover it. So
yeah, it was the same for me basically. But I mean, I'm not reviewing it for the magazine, but I mean, I need to know.
You keep up to date with.
About.
Yeah, you keep up to date with the gaming world, of course. So
yeah, I mean, and Tom Vassell, it was actually his number 1 on his top 100,
which I think is
crazy. It's crazy, but yeah, he really loves that game.
Yeah. I'm doing my top 100 in, what is it, 9 months from now for this year. So we'll see by then. I think it's going to be in top 100, but I don't know how high.
I'm doing I'm doing mine pretty soon. Actually, I usually do it in like February or March, and this will definitely be on the top 100 for sure. I'm not sure exactly where, but it'll be in the top 100.
Yeah.
No question about it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Marcus, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Really fun that you could be here, and it was a. Like I started thinking, because I was trying to set up an interview with the designer, and it's like it didn't really work out. And I was like, I still want to talk about Ark Nova. So I was like, okay, who can I ask?
And we already had some discussions about it online. So thanks for having me. It was really fun to talk about it.
And we'll be back next Sunday. And okay, by the way, if there's a viewer out there that's like, wait, why is this about Ark Nova? Because I said last week, I said it's going to be on Lost Ruins of Arnak. Lost Ruins of Arnak is next week again. I had to postpone it a little bit because I took my 3rd vaccine shot, and I was going to have an interview with the designers of Lost Ruins of Arnak. So that got postponed because I was tired. So that's coming. We're going to do that this week, and then on next week, and then on next Sunday, same time, same place, you're gonna hear about Lost Ruins of Arnak, and I'm also, that time I will be alone, but I will cut in a big piece of interview in the middle of the stream there.
That's cool. And those are also first-time designers.
Yeah, I think it's a couple, right? So it's gonna be fun to hear about how that process went.
I look forward to listening to that.
All right, thank you so much for watching, and have a great evening, morning, or whenever you're watching. Take care. Bye.
Bye.